1-2. We are live. Heather B. We've been talking about this moment all morning.
Yes, we have been excited.
I'm opening up the phone lines right now. You got some juggernauts in the room with us right now. I feel underdressed.
Yeah, your T-shirt kind of. You good with the shirt. The T alone got you. You ready? You VIP ready?
You good.
I'm good. I thought about it because, I was like, yo, who are we going to talk to today? And one of the people that we're talking today, we're celebrating a brand new album called Cheat Codes, which is out tomorrow.
Woo!
And one of the people we're talking to today is my brother, who I've known since the Organics Project from the Roots dropped way back in 93.
Absolutely.
Goodness.
That's how far we go back when Sway and Tech was bringing them out to Leimert Park, Marla Gibbs Theater, to perform live as the Roots.
Yeah, Hairlines was on a beam.
You remember that?
I mean,
My
like,
man.
I had a widow's peak. My joint was like crazy. And Monster joint.
Man, beautiful hairlines. You remember my locks? You remember my locks? Yo, man.
Who could forget?
People would line up around the corner just to touch my locks at the beat.
You know what, Sway?
I'm just saying that really truly happened, and this man has gone on to be one of the most, if not the greatest MC that hip hop has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Culturally, this man has pivoted and moved the culture and shook it up in so many ways in the last couple of decades and continue to do so.
Yeah.
This man has written Broadway plays, Heather B.
Mm-hmm.
And this man recently put out his Audible series, 7 Years.
Yep.
Yes,
Heather
sir.
B. This guy you can see him on Jimmy Fallon every single night, just collecting a beautiful check. You got to understand, this guy is going to be doing a James Brown Say It Loud documentary with Mick Jagger
Oh, wow.
and Questlove.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And he just put out a project. He put this project Cheat Codes out. And lyrically, I'm baffled and perplexed that he is as hungry as he was before the Organics album came out.
Yeah.
And speaking of hungry, he can cook.
Hey, listen, man, I need to take y'all everywhere I go. Like, look.
Man, I got envious of him because of his wardrobe game. I've been struggling.
Yeah. Sway
he's-
asked me who's your stylist. I was like, I don't know.
Damn.
Man,
Welcome.
thank you. Thank y'all.
Welcome him back to the show, Black Thought. Give that man a round of applause.
Always good to be here.
Your family.
Now, Black Thought brought somebody, and this is one of the reasons why I wore this T-shirt, because I never got a chance to sit down and speak with this man. In my mind, we have. In my mind, we have met, because through all of his workings, I have become a follower, somewhat of a stan, and a big fan of what it is that he does across the genres. I think most of us was first introduced to him when he did the award-winning Gray Tape, when he mixed Jay-Z vocals over Beatles instrumentals. But he didn't just do that. He deconstructed and reconstructed and created something new for both of those artists that had never been done before. I respected that as somebody who came up on the Wake Up Show with DJ King Tech and DJ Revolution, and we used to go digging in the crates.
Oh, yeah.
Black Dot, you know about this. HB, you know about this. What he did with that project, it really won me over. And so when he started working with one of my favorite MCs of all time, MF Doom, I said, this guy is one of us.
Yes, the mouse and the mask.
I was with that man from KMD days.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, when we used to play Peach Fuzz on the world famous Wake Up Show.
Wow.
Okay, and this man was able to work with him on numerous amount of occasions and bring him to light when he started working with the Gorillas. I think it was a Demon Day project. I'm a big fan of the Gorillas. Dan the Automator is somebody I grew up with in Northern California who also produced for them. I knew then that this dude is different. When Esquire said he's one of the 75 most influential people in the 21st century, they could have said the top 50 in the 21st century and still been accurate about his contributions to the game. So whenever him and Black Thought get together, this is a treat. This is something special for music lovers, for the culture. This is something that you can't really buy. This is magic happening right here. We got him with us today. Give it up for the Grammy-winning, I don't know how many he's been nominated for, 25, 30, 40, who knows? He doesn't care. That ain't why he does this. Give it up for the one and only Danger Mouse and Black Thought.
Wow.
Welcome,
man, I'm
welcome.
tired.
Heavy hitters.
I'm
You ain't
exhausted.
even hit everything.
That's not half.
But you know what's funny is my mind scrolls, so I'm scrolling over all of y'all accomplishments, and I'm like, live picking the ones that I want to say.
Yeah.
I love it, bro.
Yeah, man. Tell me about y'all relationship. Black Dog, let's start with you. Tell me about this relationship.
You know, Brian and I, Danger
Who's Brian?
Mouse, Brian is Danger Mouse. I call Danger Mouse Brian. You know, I call him Bri-Fi, Brizzle. But no, Brian and I, we met through the Roots' longtime manager, Rich Nichols.
Rich, rest in power,
yeah,
Rich.
Rest in power. You know, Rich Nichols. Back in the day, I think early 2000s, somehow around the time that Brian did the Gray album, he and Rich and Tom Ford and a couple other people, like, a really random sort of grouping, wound up on a panel together speaking about, the process, or, I don't know, entrepreneurship, something. And he made mention to Rich that he was a fan. I was one of his favorite MCs, and that he always wanted to work with me. And Rich had become a fan of his, so he relayed the message, and that was pretty much it. We met shortly after that in the studio in L.A. I think we were both living in L.A. at the time, so it made sense. I was working on stuff in the studio, in a room that was happened to be the same place that he frequented, and we got together. And in the sort of in-between time, the interim, we started working on some joints, and we had a couple demos that we worked on at that time, and then things sort of took off. The Roots started doing late night TV.
Okay.
Gnarls Barkley took off.
Gnarls Barkley
for Danger Mouse, and and then we revisited the idea a couple times over the years, up until and again, we get together, we do a song here and there, a demo, but never really going into sort of album mode or full collaboration mode until around 2018 when we started working on this album.
So I remember reading that I thought y'all did do a project that was never released. Is that incorrect, Danger Mouse?
I mean, we had some stuff.
Yeah.
No, we started, and you mentioned it, I think, in some things that we wanted it to happen, but no, it took a while.
It took a while.
It took a while, yeah.
What I like about you is you don't just pick any MC to work with.
I like that too.
Yeah.
So, if he picks you, if he does a project around you, if he picks you, then you must be something special.
Yeah.
Right. And so I discovered Black Thought early on, during the world famous Wake Up Show. We used to go up in Philly, and I think it was the Mountain Brothers, Tap Money, all these different people would take us around. How did you discover Black Thought? What was the song?
So I lived in Atlanta, and there was a Turtles Records, and they used to have the listening stations in the 90s. It was 94, I think. And I saw the Do You Want More album on there. I hadn't heard of it. In Atlanta, people weren't really talking about it yet where I was at. So I listened to it. I liked it, and I couldn't afford it. So I paid a friend to steal it for me.
Like, who pays somebody to go steal something?
And they,
Had to have it though.
but then you have, when you have something that other people don't have, you have more of a personal connection with it. So that was my thing. So Black Thought was, that was my MC. He was my number one. So everybody had their person, like comic book characters or sports or something like that. But for MCs, it was always Black Thought all through college and everything. I saw him perform at my college and everything. So he was always my favorite rapper. So
Really? Where did you go to college?
University of Georgia.
Oh, shit. Damn, you a Georgia guy for real.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's not what was happening in Georgia at that time.
Well, 94,
Yeah.
people started, when Outkast came out, a lot of stuff from the South. When I first got to the South, I listened to Booty Shake, and that was it.
Okay.
But then it all started to come down there in the early 90s when there was Wu-Tang and Tribe and things it started to come down there. But it took a minute. Because we were in the suburbs of Atlanta, but it took a minute.
So is that where? Because then I'm jumping, but it just makes sense to me now. Because I was wondering, how did Gnarls Barkley come together? How did you and CeeLo meet? But was it from back in those days?
It was through a connection from back then. But yeah, no, I performed at a show on campus where CeeLo was playing, and I gave him something years early, like in the 90s. And then we didn't want to meeting until early 2000s, right before the Gray album. So we had started on Gnarls Barkley actually before the Gray album because we had met.
Really?
Yeah, behind the scenes. It just was taking a long time. You know, things take a long time.
Yeah, yeah. He was playing you out a little bit.
Yeah, and then the Gray album, it sped it up a little bit. You know, it was like, okay.
Your success, man. Oh,
it helped. Who
that guy, Danger
Mouse? That's kind of what happened, yeah.
Did you recognize that the success of Gnarls Barkley also contributed to almost, I ain't gonna say a rebirth because CeeLo is CeeLo, but it did add to his repertoire. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, he's very special guy, and he was, you know, coming out of Atlanta. I mean, he was one of the kings, and so, but yeah, just his versatility, but also the way he sings and what he does. He's just bigger than life, and it just didn't have the, you know, maybe didn't have the context for everybody to hear it, but on pop songs, which is what it, you know, we accidentally did one that worked, but
accidentally.
It was accidental. The whole
it was
album
a real accident. The whole album.
Well, it was definitely not meant to be a pop thing at all. You know, I don't think CeeLo, I think at the time CeeLo had just gotten dropped. Nobody knew who I was because I hadn't even done the Gray album when we first started it. So we were just going and messing around.
Wow, that's interesting. Danger Mouse is with us. Black Thought is with us as well. What are your thoughts on, you never made a song to go pop, right?
No.
Not with any intention.
Not by mistake either. Like,
I'm dying.
yeah, no, that's you know, uncharted terrain for
Baby,
your
I got
boy.
you. That didn't, you know.
I mean, you know, that you got me was huge. That was our first Grammy, and it was huge. But I wouldn't consider it a pop song. I mean, I guess it went. It was a crossover hit. It's a big record.
Yeah,
but it was.
The visual was incredible too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that visual was crazy. As I recall, we shot the video over 2 days, you know, in Brooklyn, in the projects, freezing cold.
Really? With those people laying on the ground?
Yeah,
Wow.
and then something happened, like with the film, and we had to do a reshoot. We had to come back out and, you know, shoot for maybe another day and a half after the whole video had already been in the can.
Wow.
But yeah, like thinking back, we knew that was the, you know, Vinny, that was the record that, you know, sort of, you know, garnered that sort of attention, you know, so we had to get it right.
Wow. What I love to me, what both of you guys are sort of saying, that you appreciate time. Like you understand what it takes to create something. I think we've been in an era, you know, where people are like, I did this album in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I did this song in 15 minutes. It's nothing. If you get your result that you want, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I love hearing that things takes time, especially for creatives, because sometimes people will put a rush. I need this date. I need this time.
Right.
But you know what you want.
Yeah.
You know how when it feels right. Not necessarily sound right, but you know when this feels right. And it seems like you two have that in common. This feels right. I'm going to stick to this. I love that. Well, Sway and Tracy and I were talking about the project this morning. One of the things that Sway said about you, thought I'll start with first, is that I don't know where this man is finding this kind of time. Like, where is he finding this time to create like this? Again, with time, because of
that was off mic, Heather.
I know I'm not, but to me, I'm hearing this time thing with the two of them and appreciation for it. But how do you find the time, if you don't mind sharing creatively? Do you sometimes get a bar in the car and it's like, I got to pull over, and you writing on a matchbook or anything you can find? Like, where do you find the time?
I think, I'm always writing. So I do, I will get an idea and have to, well, if I get an idea today, because you know, my son got my phone jacked up.
Oh no!
I am gonna have to write it on the matchbook.
Oh, wow. He's messing up the money.
Yeah, you know, so I'm always like, you know, thinking of ideas, and whenever something comes to me and I think, you know, I'm sharp enough or I have enough confidence in myself that I'm not gonna forget it, I forget it. So I always try and jot down that bar, that word, or, you know, a springboard to it, something that's gonna just remind me of sort of the space that I was in. But in this project, I feel like you know, I often you know, like I'm my toughest critic. Like it's my own bar. I'm trying to outdo myself or something that I've done before, and I think Brian is alike. You know what I'm saying?
that way,
In that
okay.
way. So we were both sort of like, we went into this process to make a record for ourselves. We wanted to make a record that we both could rock with, you know, and I guess the idea is that if it can make it past, you know,
The two of you?
yeah, you know, this wall, then, you know, we be good money. But that's the sort of thing that you could only arrive at over time. You know what I mean? It's not, you know, the instant gratification
Got it.
sort of deal. So
Got it.
Have you guys both developed a different relationship with busyness throughout all of these decades? Because, you know, oftentimes when we get the honor of speaking with artists who have been able to transcend all these different genres, decades, time, they'll say there was a moment where I should have said no to something to be with my family or even to be with myself.
I'm starting to feel that, you know, like now, like I think in, you know, recent years, maybe some of the introspection that, you know, I've had, you know, time to sort of get into since quarantine and all that stuff, you know, post pandemic. Yeah, I think I have to remind myself sometimes that I don't always have to be working. I was in LA a few weeks ago. You know, we were there doing I want to say like playing a Hollywood Bowl or something. We were there for a couple weeks, like back to back. And every time I would come out to LA to do one thing, I would schedule studio sessions or, you know, try to figure out what else I could do to be productive around, you know, the thing that I'm going out there to do.
Yeah.
And I was working with this one producer and he sort of, you know, pulled me to the side and said, look, like, you know, every time you come, like you could come to LA to do a thing and just come here and not work. Like, you know, like we can kick it. And it was like, it hadn't dawned on me that, you know, so sometimes I think because of the people that I'm inspired by, you know what I'm saying? Like the Danger Mouses and Questloves of the world, people who I feel sort of never sleep. Yeah, I do need that reminder, like, okay, you know, it's cool to take time for yourself, for your family, because also you see people sometimes work themselves into a hole where, you know, they work until they can't work, and then it's like, it's almost too late. You know what I mean? When you take that vacation, when you take that trip, when you take that leave of absence, it's, you know, it's a different urgency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
It's an interesting balance.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
work can be a form of healing, but it also can be a form of hiding.
like for me, it's all I know either way. It's both. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's how I hide. It's how I, you know, stand out and express myself too. You know?
Danger Mouse. So I'll be curious your take on that. Do you hide? Is that one of the ways you hide through your work?
I think so. I think it's a self-worth thing. I think, you know, you're always working and always trying to spend your time on something you're comfortable with that. And for me, it's easier because I'm not a vocalist, so I'm always working with somebody who's really good at something that I'm not. Or, you know, so if I'm working with people who are already great, it gives me a lot of confidence in whatever it is I'm working on, because I can tell because I'm listening. I'm not doing it as much.
Right.
So to keep having people I can keep doing that with, I'm like, why would I stop? And so yeah, I guess I don't really stop. I don't have the whole family thing.
You got the family thing, just got time to yourself.
It's hard.
And then, you know, if you don't have the family thing, if there's nobody to answer to, like, hey, you know what I mean, what about me? Then you just
Keep
You're
going.
insane with it.
And it's hard to shut it off. I think sometimes
it is.
people don't realize, like, as a creative, so many things can inspire you or excite you. And so it's hard. It's like, okay, I'm not doing music, but I could put this in the cooking, or I could do this. It's just constant ways to keep being creative. It's hard to shut it off sometimes.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm curious too with Danger Mouse, because you've been in so many different studios with so many huge names. I often have these camera of life moments where I'm inside of a moment, I recognize it, and it's like I'm looking at God or something and say, can you believe this shit? Like I'm actually sitting here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? With Danger Mouse and Black Thought, you know. Have you had a moment, you know, one of those camera of life moments being in the studio with an artist?
All right, I'm saying this. I'm not just saying to be saying it, but generally speaking, no.
Okay.
Because I'm too worried about, I got to critique everything all the damn time. I'm always thinking about what's happening where it's at. And also, I don't have the confidence that it's going to be great until it's out. So I'm like, oh man, all these people are going to hear this thing that I'm doing with this person. It's not going to be as good as the last thing did or whatever. So that's not where I get excited or happy, not in the studio in that way, afterwards, or maybe when you're finishing the record. But when I was working with Tariq, the way we worked was very unique. It was just the two of us. I usually use an engineer because I'm not an engineer. It's usually other people around, but this was just Tariq coming over to my apartment before he was going kind of to work in a way, and we were just recording songs together on my computer, kind of like a couple of kids. Kind of, it just felt like we were high school kids or college kids, like doing our project, and that's how we did the whole first year of doing stuff. And that's when it felt, because I was like, I think we're becoming friends. I think I'm friends with Black Thought. and that was the thing. And I was very timid. He doesn't know this, but I usually get closer quicker with people. But he was such a. I was such a fan, I was just, in that way. So it took a little while for me to warm up to him. And I think he thought I was cold the whole time.
Yeah. I was like, dude, he's just like that, yo.
No.
He don't be rocking with people. Like, he thinking about beats.
But that was the time, I think, because it was just the two of us and it was just right there. And because of the history.
Because of the history.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
I want to go into one of the songs.
Yeah.
The album is called Cheat Codes. Why is it called Cheat Codes?
We have a song on the record. It's called Cheat Codes, and I think it speaks to survival and the decisions, the everyday negotiation that we sort of have to make in order to to navigate the world.
Yeah.
So it's about survival and how some people are born further along, or born with a little more in their favor, the scale tipped in their direction a little further than others. With those of us who come from a place and time where the scale is tipped in the opposite direction, like what we have to do, how we sort of get it, and how you have to move through the world. So I think that's what it speaks to, and it was such a powerful idea and record that it wound, like that song wound up becoming the title of the album. We were going to call this album something else, I think, before. Maybe it took a while before we thought of anything.
Yeah.
Initially, wasn't it Dangerous Thoughts?
I think that's what I was calling like this ensemble.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that was a little on the nose.
Yeah. I love albums with a title track. Like, I think if you have an album, a song should be after.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys did that.
Thank you.
I love that.
I'm curious, before we play the song, I really thought that's why you called it that.
I mean, you know me. Like,
Yeah. Like, I was like, I get this because we've all, my cheat code, we all have personal cheat codes, right? Things we do. Danger Mouse has something he does in the studio that he discovered that nobody else knows, right? Maybe it's how to truncate a sample or EQ something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a snare he likes to use, how he mixes
it's
it.
all of the above.
All of the above, right? Mine was I don't want to use the word charm.
How about the word sway?
My sway. When I discovered as a youth, I used to have conversations with adults, right? This is what my people in my family tell me. And I picked up a rhythm on that. Like, oh, that made them happy. That made this person. And I used that rhythm through junior high, high school, out of college, work environment. That's the rhythm that got me in King Tech on the radio.
Wow.
You feel me?
Yeah,
Being able to talk. We didn't have no training. So,
exactly.
I was that's the rhythm that made me have the success I had in MTV.
Yeah.
Being able to adjust. And so that's the cheat code I teach young folks that come into the circle.
Yeah, man.
Is what are you projecting? That energy you project can be something that could work in your favor, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And so we're going to play this song, Cheat Codes. And we're going to open up the phone lines. Danger Mouse is
Let's
in
get
here,
it.
man.
In the
Black
building, how
Thought is in
y'all
here. 888-742-3345. I said it before they realized that Black Thought, King Tech, and I was on this in the early 90s.
Absolutely.
Come on, man. I think the Roots might have won a Wake Up Show award one of those years.
I think we did.
Y'all did, actually. Yeah, I remember that. I remember how much they cost you, Common, everybody got one.
Wow.
But it worked out. So we're going to open up the ability for you guys to talk to these two gentlemen. And any questions you have, hit us up. We got some folks on Zoom right now.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
I love
Got
this.
some folks on Zoom, right? Let's see if we can pull it up. Can you hear us?
He look like he at
Okay.
work.
Anybody? Hey, are y'all on mute? Can you hear us? Say something.
No, we can hear you.
Oh,
Okay.
peace.
Okay, what's your
Hey.
name, young man?
I'm Chef James Jabbar.
What up, Chef?
Oh.
Peace. What up, Chef?
Hey, what's up, Chef?
What up?
HB, how you doing, Sway?
I'm doing great.
ACG.
Hey.
Chef, what's your question?
Check this out. You know, Black Thought, I appreciate you for being a mature MC. You know, outside of KR, the teacher, you helped shape my mind as a young man. So I appreciate you on that one for the guidance. So my question is, outside of musicians, what is a teaching or a spiritual teaching that help influence your music lyrically wise?
Ooh, great question.
You know, thank you for the compliment, brother. For me, you know, I grew up in an Islamic household, so like my family was Muslim in Philly. Well, having lost my parents at a relatively young age, I lost my father super early, like when I was a baby, and my mom when I was in high school, like I want to say 10th or 11th grade. So, you know, at that time, I sort of dove into all spiritual teachings, you know, being really close to my grandmother. I spent a lot of time, you know, in her church. So I feel like I came up like with the duality of Islam and Christianity in my life. And that took me to, you know, all other things. You know what I'm saying? I've studied, you know, different versions of Islam and Buddhism, and you know, I feel like I'm a spiritual person, and I think that all informs my pen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Man, great question, man. I appreciate you, Chef, and thank you for always supporting the show. You're a super citizen,
Let's
family.
in the morning, Chef. Much love to you.
Let's get one more. I like the Zoom component.
That's crazy.
All right. Yeah. How you doing? Rise and shine.
We can't. Hi.
Are you
Unmute
muted?
yourself, boo.
I think you're muted.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Hi.
There
How
you
you
go.
doing?
You'll say your name?
Nicole from Buffalo.
What up, Nikki?
Hey, how you
Hey,
doing,
Nicole
Nicole?
from Buffalo.
What's up, Nikki? How you doing? So what's your question?
Good. My question is, for Black Thought, has being part of the Jimmy Fallon show influenced you to venture outside your comfort zone as an MC, or was it just a natural transition?
For me, yeah, I think doing the Tonight Show or late night show and then into Tonight Show, it definitely played a major role in me getting out of my, you know, that proverbial sort of comfort zone, and you know, just thinking outside the box as a creative, just differently. One thing that I owe a great, like a huge part of that too, is embracing stand-up comedy. You know, I started producing a comedy show called Black Thought Presents Delirious. It started at the Punchline in Philly, and then we took it on the road to quite a few festivals around the world. And you know, in doing that, I didn't want to come out and rap on this comedy thing I was producing, so I will come out and do a tight five, and it's just you, the microphone. You lucky if you got a light, and you know you got to connect with the audience. So if they're with you, they're sort of with you. And if they're not, then you know they're not with you specifically. You know, so that was a huge exercise for me as far as being more transparent and then you know accessible, relatable, but also a lesson for me in just stoicness and you know, embracing my stillness on stage and just being, you know, in order to sort of, you know, get out of your comfort zone or think outside the box, you got to be super comfortable inside your own skin. So I think that, you know, doing comedy, it helped me in that way. And that went on to inform my performance, in musical theater. Which, you know, when I come back to like rapping and having to perform with the Roots, it's a no-brainer. I just feel like I'm 1,000% better having, you know, engaged in those two intensives.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Nicole, great question. And
Yeah.
thank you for
Thank
tuning
you.
in. You a super citizen.
Let's Sway in the morning, Nicole.
Okay. Black No More.
Yeah.
Right? You wrote the music and the lyrics for that musical. And so that is in correlation to what you're saying right now, right? So
Yeah.
what did you walk away with from that?
I walked away just with a deeper. I mean, I always appreciated and respected the contributions of, you know, people who come from the theatrical background and, you know, people who are able to, you know, become playwrights and write in that sense. But just a newfound respect for, you know, people who come from that space, especially musical theater. It's not easy to write, you know, for, you know, 20 different voices. You know what I mean? And then in my case, having to step into a role too, it was just a huge challenge to sort of undertake. You know what I mean? Lots of heavy lifting to be on both sides of the table, so to speak. But you know, if it was the most immersive learning experience that I could ask for. So, because like now I know it. I know how to produce. You know, I'm a composer, arranger. I've acted, in musical theater. So I got, sort of all of the experience at once. I wouldn't advise that because, like I was a couple days trying to pull my beard out. We survived, and now onward and upward. We'll be back. We'll be on Broadway soon.
Let me ask you this, because it feels like when you do these projects that James, and Quest and all these guys are on the sideline. Do they participate? Do they give input?
In the Roots, man, we all have so much cooking up.
Yeah,
like everybody has a bunch going on. So I think the Roots is a collective first and foremost.
Yeah.
So we're a group of people who sort of have their own solo thing popping. And I think the more successful that we are as individuals, it just gives us more opportunity to reach back and say, yo, let me put you on this thing. You producing this, is me and you on it. You know what I mean? And we all sort of work together. So it's just a lot of overlap. You know what I mean? If you hire James Poyser, the Roots is working on that. If you hire Questlove,
the Roots was working on that.
So that's how it sort of works.
Do you guys get to keep Questlove's Oscar at your house?
I mean, like he's really not like, he's never been big on putting the awards on the pedestal. Like if my memory serves me correctly, I think that Oscar is in the bathroom.
It's in the bathroom.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You saw it there as you were.
I've seen it in the bathroom, and I know that there are other trophies there.
Okay, in the bathroom.
But he keeps some of his awards right in the dressing room, like at NBC. There's I think the Hamilton Grammy is on display out there, and there's another thing in his room. We cherish the experience more than the trophy.
At one point, and then I'm gonna let y'all jump in. This is triggering so much, and I got a question for Danger Mouse too. I remember at one point, Wendy Goldstein at MCA. Yeah. When you guys were signed to MCA. They were approaching us because we were such big supporters of the Roots, about, man, they need more support. Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to have a challenge keeping them here. This is what was told to us, by the way. I don't know if you ever heard this shit. And we're thinking, King Tech and I are out of our minds, like, what are you doing? You're going to make the biggest mistake ever, right? Yeah. And now look at y'all. 2022. How surreal is your life right now?
I mean, it's more real than surreal, but I'm just grateful, what I'm saying? A lot of people, my contemporaries, people from our graduating class,
no longer here.
They no longer here. So, it's a blessing. I don't take it for granted, but that's also why I have that mechanism in me to I got to keep getting it, you know what I mean? Like, because I know you're not going to always have that window. The opportunity won't always be there to do so many things, to be creative in any way that you want to be. So I just want to sort of do it all now, you know what I mean?
2020, we lost a great with MF Doom, right? Yeah. And he's featured on this project. But Danger Mouse, you and he have worked together, known each other. I don't know how long, but I've known him since Dev Love X. You know what I mean? So back in the KMD days, we were speaking about that earlier, man. How did you develop a relationship with MF Doom?
I was working on an album with Prince Poe from Organized Confusion. So I was helping him put together an album and did a track with him, and I had just really started getting into Doom, and so we tried to get Doom on a track. So I go to a show to meet him in person, do all the business. He's very, unique and secretive with what he does. Yeah. And I didn't really know how rabid his fan base was. This was even in 2000 and maybe 3, 4, something like that. So I went to a show in Santa Monica, I think, and I went to this little bar, and it was a little show, had 200 people. And the people in there just couldn't believe that Doom was actually going to show up. I'm thinking, well, this is a Doom show. Of course he's going to show up. But they just couldn't believe it. And I just didn't understand. I just hadn't seen a hip hop show where it was that much of a thing. So I was talking to this guy at the bar about it, and he was, I was asking him a little bit more, because I was there by myself just to meet him, to try to get him to get on a track.
Wow.
And we were me and this guy at the bar were talking a little bit about it. And then I watched the show. He just gets up there with a CD player, you know, just like, oh boy, here we go. Hits the button and just starts rapping, and you know every word. And I'm like, how do they know every word? What's going on here? So as soon as the show was over with, I'm trying to get backstage, like everybody's trying to get back. I'm like, yeah, but I'm good. He's expecting me, and it's like, yeah, right. So he wasn't back there. And I wound up having to chase him. You know, he was in this place, that place. I wound up at a hotel room. And with some big guy, like, you know, blocking the door for me to go in. As soon as I go in, I see him. He doesn't have the mask on. I'm like, that's the guy I was talking to at the bar.
Wow.
What?
The whole time?
Nobody there recognized him.
Yeah.
And you told that story impeccably. I didn't see that coming.
No,
I didn't either. And I was like, wow. He just happened to be at the bar. He was there with his glasses on. He was just there, and nobody there. All these people were flipping out, and he was just there. Getting a drink before, because they didn't have the thing he wanted to drink, they didn't have it on the upstairs, so he's, I'll go get it.
And they worried about him showing up, and he at the bar getting toasted with Danger Mouse.
So that was my introduction to Doom, and it got much more complicated after that. But he's no longer living, but legend. You know,
He's a legend,
it was that
man.
thing. So yeah, we worked on stuff, and the thing is that he had moved to Atlanta, and my parents and family still lived in Atlanta. So every time I would visit, I would go hang out with him, and then that turned into us doing this project together. Doing Danger Doom together.
That's how y'all came and did that project.
Yeah.
How are these two both dope ass MCs?
Yeah.
But how were they different for you to work with as a producer? What was similarities perhaps?
It was very different. It was just such a different time. I mean,
Okay.
the process was still me making a bunch of beats and trying to get them to use them, you know, that kind of thing.
People tell you no, huh?
That's the. Well, it's a lot of times I have something where I'm like, it's not so obvious. You've said that before. It's not so
Right,
obvious.
yeah.
Where I hear, I'm like, no. It could be, you know, that kind of thing. And so that's always what I was trying to do.
I think what it is, I think when you hear a sample or you hear, like, you know, the inkling of a song, in your mind, you're able to, you know, to dress, like, to take it closer to what it's going to sound like when it's completed. Like, he hears it already done, you know, but then I hear it and I'm like, you know, I just got to, you know, dig deeper to sort of wrap my head around it. I remember working on this project and thinking at one point, like, when do he do, like, the Danger Mouse shit? Like, when is that? You know what I'm saying?
When is that mouse magic gonna happen?
The magic happens. It just, you know, it just happens, you know, at a natural sort of organic, you know, evolutionary pace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love it, man. Danger Mouse is here. Black Thought is here. Cheat Codes is the name of the album. I want to play the song Belize.
Yeah.
Featuring MF Doom. What can you tell us about that song, Tariq, before we go into it?
I mean, you know, I feel like this is we worked on this record, you know, and tried Belize specifically a couple different ways, and I think this is the best configuration. And I think this is it's just a dope way to, you know, to pay homage and to sort of honor, you know, Doom's legacy, you know, in the right way. You know, we jumped on a couple records. But I think this is most representative of, you know, of us at our collaborative best.
888-742-3345. Here's Belize. Call if you have any questions. Yes, brand new. You ain't heard that one. Off the Cheat Codes project. It's out Friday, man.
Woo!
August 12th. Pick it up. It's ready.
Tomorrow.
It's ready for you right now. We got somebody on the line right now. 888-742-3345. Sway in the morning, have the beat, Tracy G, Rise and Shine. Who we got on the line? You there? You there?
Yes, sir. How y'all doing?
Okay.
Great. How are you?
Good.
Anthony, how you doing?
That's Tracy. I'm good.
Hi.
You got a question, Ant?
Yeah. Before I get to my question, Black Thought, I just wanted to say, man, you're in my top 10 rappers of all time, dog. Like, your cadence, your flow, your bars is top level, bro.
Thanks, man. Where do I place?
I'm gonna be honest.
I'm be honest, man. You know, you're actually 10.5.
10.5.
He top five? Top five? Ant?
No, I was saying I don't really rank them. I just got a list of 10 nasty rappers, in my opinion, that really just touched me.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I like that.
Nice. Yeah, thank
Very
you.
Sway-like.
That's me. I do that same thing because they switch up sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, you go right back, listen to an old, you know, Roots album and go, nah, I'm back. You know, stop back at
Plus,
number
live
one.
performances will make you change too.
Yeah.
true. Very
New
true.
projects, all of it.
I'm sorry, Anthony. What was your question?
You got a question there? Sorry.
My question is, what was your writing process during the making of Yaya with Eminem, Q-Tip, and Royce?
Oh man, the Yaya, like writing that Eminem verse, my process was, I really corresponded mostly with Royce on that. Like Royce, is the reason that I wound up on that record. He's obviously super close with Eminem, but he and I are pretty close. You know what I mean? And just in our rapport, in sending records back and forth, like this is what I'm working on. What are you working on? He told me that he was working on the Eminem album, and I think he just like casually brought it up. Like, would you want to jump on a joint? He's a huge fan. I know Eminem was a fan because we've done some performances together, but never a record. So he sent me the joint, and I mean, to be 1,000% with you, it wasn't the easiest beat for me to rap to. It didn't some joints I feel like are rhyme friendly. Like most of the songs on this Danger Mouse project, I feel like they almost write themselves if I sit and listen to it long enough. And that Eminem song wasn't that way. It wasn't like that. It was more of a joint that I had to. I mean, it was a challenge. If you get on the record with Eminem, it's a battle. So you essentially battling Eminem whether you like it or not. So that's the way I looked at it, and I had to approach it like I was battling. So, but it wasn't like I was hitting him. To see what he thought of the verse. It was like me and Royce, and I sent them like one version, and it was cool. It was dope. Perfect. By most people's standards. And then I sent them another version where I sort of Danger Moused it. Like I had to go and just tweak a couple syllables to take a breath here instead of there, and then I did it. A funny story about that record is I went to Q-Tip's house. We were working on music during that same time, and just in showing each other stuff, he was like, "Yeah, show you this record. I was working on with the boy Eminem," and you put the joint on, and it was Yaya. And I was like, oh shit, like in my mind, the whole time I've been writing, one of the things that I'd taken issue with, I was like, they got this fake ass Q-Tip on here. They could have just got Q-Tip to do the chorus. Because it was an effect. It was an effect on his voice. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I said, man, it'd have been tough if they'd have just had real Tip do it. So Q-Tip, he didn't know I was on the record. He's showing me the joint like, yeah, you ain't up on this. And then I played him my verse, and he was like, oh shit, you on that joint. It was funny. It was one of those funny moments. But
shout out to
Tip. Fake Tip. Hey, man. Hey, Ed, thanks for your call, man. You're a super citizen.
Sway in the morning, baby.
Woo!
Tracy, take us out.
Well, I've been curious this entire time because you guys have mentioned how you're both pretty self-critical and want to get everything as perfect as possible. Does that make it easy to listen to your music from the past? Like, do you start because you have a new mind now, or are you able to let it go?
Just speaking for myself, I let it go right away.
Okay.
There's almost like I almost don't even like I never want to hear a song again that that I put out once I'm done with the process. I mean, at least that's the way it is for me while I'm still making songs. I think over time we become more efficient and more effective and more productive, and I think I've grown to like my music more, so I'm more likely to reflect back on the stuff that I'm making in recent years and rock with it. But when I listen to like old root stuff and some music that I may have written before my voice changed, and like I was, for all intents and purposes, I tell people I was a child star because we signed a record deal I was like 18, 19.
Oh wow!
Okay. So and I look at my son who's 22 now, like. You know what I mean? Like you're still a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So yeah, I think that's sort of it with me. How about you, bro?
I think it's easier for me because I'm not hearing my voice.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of the people I work with. So sometimes I don't remember it even being made so much. The details of it enough to critique it. I just kind of listen sometimes, but not so much purposely. But if I hear it here or there, it doesn't bother me now.
And you have an ill radio
most producers
voice
I know when they listen to their old stuff, they judge. Like it's the drums. The drums is the voice for them. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah, I do critique though. I do think it could be better.
Yeah. If you had a top 5 producer drum list, who would be on it? Who got the best drums to you? EQ'd drums.
I'd say the Beat Miners.
Okay.
Prince Paul.
Prince Paul. Okay.
I'm just going to my influences really.
Okay, that's fine.
With those. Who has great sounding drums too is that Kevin from Tame Impala.
Okay. Tame Impala,
sound great.
Yeah.
I mean, Premier.
There you go. 'Cause I was, hey,
Come on.
if you didn't say that, I was going to end the interview.
Start with the obvious.
Okay. I was like,
His
yo.
lists aren't in order, Sway. It's no
Give
order.
me one
Primo
more.
was in there.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Tariq, I didn't know. All right. Anybody else?
I mean, you know, I really love J-Zone.
Okay.
J-Zone.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows him, but
I'm not familiar.
Put us
Another.
up.
Love J-Zone. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he was a rapper and producer for a long time. He just plays drums now.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Amir knows him. Questlove knows him. I mean, he's one of the best drummers in the world. Now he went from rapping and doing his own projects, independent hip hop stuff, just kind of, you know, for years and years, and then left, and then decided he's gonna try something new, and picked up drums, and now he's one of the best drummers in the
Wow.
world. He's
Okay.
great. He's yeah, legit stuff. So
J-Zone
I sample
again?
some. I
J-Zone?
sample J-Zone. Yeah,
Okay.
I sample some of
Sample
the
some of
stuff.
his drums?
Not on this record, but on other.
Yeah,
You know J-Zone.
Yeah, no, look, I hadn't known who J-Zone was
Yeah,
until a couple weeks ago. I just met him in Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, I just did a gig out there, and you know, I met him, and just really, I saw how much props Quest was giving him, and I
Yeah,
was like,
he's
yo,
amazing.
who was he? Was like, no, like this, like he was, yo, J-Zone, yo, this is, you know what I mean? Like he was like Dilla level praise, you know what I mean? So I got to chop it up with him, and I actually played some of the music. I played this album for him. Yeah,
Okay.
just,
Oh, wow.
just like maybe 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Danger Mouse, Black Thought. Give them a round of applause, citizens. I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as we
Yes.
did. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Cheat Codes, this is a album on wings. Certain albums, I give them wings.
Oh wow, thank you.
This
bro.
is one that's on wings. You will thoroughly enjoy it. I've had a chance to sit through it. I'm very privileged. Heather, I get to get music early.
I know.
You know, I got the music 15 minutes before the interview, but I still got a chance to hear some songs. One of the songs I want to close with is Violas and Lupitas. Okay, and this is an amazing song. I want to thank those tuned in today. Thank you for tuning in during Good News Thursday.
Yes.
We'll be back tomorrow. And Heather, how can they reach you with
At the
our
happy hour, WHB.
Tracy?
Twitter, Instagram, always citizens at It's Tracy GITSTRACYG.
You don't need that end beat right there, Tone. I appreciate you though. This is gonna be different. I don't want nothing to interfere with this intro. All right. And then Danger Mouse, I want to say, can I call you Brian? Is it?
I think that's good. Yeah,
Okay, man. All right, cool, man. I'm joking, but but I want to say I'm humbled by your presence here and your contribution to music culture and what you've been able to do with some of my favorite artists, and then show them in a whole nother light and help them reach a whole nother space for themselves as well as you. And so you've been very consistent, and I just want to let you know I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, brother.
Means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then I can't say it enough. Let's hang out. Shit, we ain't got to say nothing. All right. All right. And hey, Black Thought, man, Tariq, man, I just, you're amazing, man. You my brother. I don't even,
Yes.
sometimes
Thank
when we're
you, thank
together,
you.
I don't even know what to say to you sometimes, man,
Look,
because
man, it's all love.
the history runs so deep. And
yeah.
congratulations, man. You man, the way you've been continuing on and you just consistently ascends, we're all inspired by it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
All right, we're all inspired by it. So thank you. And I can't wait to see y'all. Are y'all touring?
No.
Great. Okay, good. So I won't see it. So tell me about
You'll see. You catch me at a theater near you.
Yeah.
You just won't be cheat codes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
Watch
Yeah.
the music videos.
That's
Yeah, for
fine.
sure.
I'm with that. Violas and Lupitas, tell me about that song before we go into it.
You know, this song, it's one of those joints where I think it's about like what draws people in, like what I'm most proud of about it is just the juxtaposition, you know, of two sort of polar opposites, and the texture, the quality of my vocal, and just the lush sort of background, like the sample that the beat was made from. So yeah, you know, I tried to paint like a visual picture and, you know, be super descriptive in my storytelling. And one of the, you know, references that I make is, you know, how my black skin is, you know, comparable to Viola Davis or Lupita's, and that became the name of the song.
I love it, man. We're going to close with this song right now. You guys stay on the right side of positivity. Have an amazing day. Thank you for joining us for Good News Thursday and Danger Mouse and Black Thought. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, and here it is.